but yeah, I hope that summarizes what this is to some extent. The life that would have been. The air train ride during rush hour was never fun. It smelled bad, it was loud, and the people had about zero in the way of respect. She was lucky to have gotten a seat today and into the city proper, and as she would always do when she got a seat, she was reading. Though a 30-something woman in a fancy three-piece suit reading a light novel in the middle of a crowded train got people staring just a little bit. Staring. I have to adjust that? I'm adjusting. Yes, isekai silliness. And I am adjusting as I write. Mild editing craziness. Not writing, but editing. Is Fujoshi the right word? I think that's something else entirely. The book was called Life of an Unfortunate Magical Girl. Story of a girl forced into making a deal with a friendly demon in order to save her family, ending up in a world of pain, suffering, and cruelty fueled by her fellow magical girls. And then the train jerked suddenly to a stop, leaving a pile of bodies and an entire 32-ounce soda hitting her in the face and running down her suit. She did manage to protect her book, though. Fuck my life. The woman shouted at the top of her lungs. I should have put a more mature warning on this. Oh well. The grumbling of the train passengers drowned it out for the most part. Shit, girl, I'm sorry. Didn't mean to ruin your fancy clothes. Man in front of her said with a sincere sound to it that meant society dictated she couldn't be mad. It's fine. Don't worry. I can afford to dry clean it. Again? The train conductor said through poorly maintained speakers that there was an emergency and that someone in the next train had gotten stabbed. And there would be at least an hour delay. And now I'm not only am I going to be sticky, I'm late for work. The train delay passed with her drying her face with some tissue from her bag and continuing to read her book. When she finally got out of the subway, she felt sticky and gross, and so was her bag. Still, she made her way to the building she worked in, headquarters of a major bank at which she was the secretary and assistant for the CEO. She spent most days between answering phones and getting the inane coffee orders, reading her book, or playing games on her private laptop. The delivery of her package today was a strange exception. She walked the box into his office and placed it down on his desk. This came for you, Mr. Leonidas. Please, Jasmine, call me Gerald. Sorry, Mr. Leonidas, you're my boss. That would be inappropriate. Come now, we've known each other long enough. We can be on a first-name basis. And I'd prefer if you would address me as Miss Riley. Sound like you're having a bad day, Jasmine, and you were late. Internally, she sighed and wanted to scream at him, but in the end, she only nodded. Yes, me and Mr. Leonidas, the train was awful today. Someone got stabbed. It's a whole mess. I see. Well, not your fault. Anyway, I'll just leave you alone if you insist. Jasmine nodded to him and left his office, ignoring the slight staring she always endured. She couldn't prove it unless he actually did something, of course. It was always seemingly innocent pressure to be less formal. She sat at her back at her desk and let the day pass. Keeping to her book and games, little of interest happened. Little of interest ever happened outside his office. Even lunch was at her desk and boring. She didn't like talking with the other people she worked with. They had absolutely nothing in common, and the small talk was insufferable. Workday would end as it always did, and the trip home was another hour on the same train in the other direction. Just as insufferable, and she wouldn't even get a seat this time around. The only positive was she didn't get coated in soda again. Home was a moderately sized one-bedroom apartment. She'd take a shower first and foremost to get the sticky off her body, then pack away the suit in her home dry cleaning bag and toss it in the dryer. She set up a dinner of chicken nuggets, white rice, and a pouch of hot and ready-made Japanese curry and settled at her computer for a night of casual gaming with no one. Another pleasant story game. This was her life, and this part of it was all that was good. All her high school friends had left the city. All her college friends were far too busy to hang out more than maybe once a month. And she never found any special someone so much as she assumed love was something other people made up, just so they weren't lonely. Day came to an end around 3 a.m. when she realized she had to sleep. She took what few pills that were supposed to make the daily suffering less horrible she had, and lie in bed for an hour before finally drifting off to sleep. She had a dream that night, one she'd actually managed to remember. It was a teenager again, and the world was the same, but also it was different. Black cat bunny thing with golden rings around its long, floppy, hand-like ears, and red pattern sat on its face. On its face, sat on her shoulder. I need you, Reina. I don't know, it's too much to think about. Fighting the world from monsters? I barely believe it's all real. Girl with long head... I should have read the title first. The girl who would not and could not. I can barely believe it's all real, the girl with long red hair and pigtails said to the Cabot on her shoulder. Cabot would stride off her shoulder into midair in front of her, as if gravity was just a suggestion. I could show you the truth, Reina, and I'd give you your deepest desire. Whatever you ask for would be yours, if only you'd say yes. How do you expect a 14-year-old girl to even imagine choosing from everything in the world? I barely know what I want to do on the weekend. And if monsters are real and are a threat, how do you know I need to be the one? She asked casually, walking down the empty evening street towards her home, shaking her head. It's just a feeling. And my feelings in this matter of choosing, I should change it from that word. Magical warriors are rarely wrong. So it isn't just me then. There have been others. What's the difference then if I say no? Reina asked. I'll remove the sigh. My feelings say if you don't say yes, all of reality could be in danger. Nothing would ever be the same for anyone, if anyone is even left at the end. The Cabot followed behind her in the air before lying down on the top of her head. And again, you want me to imagine the end of reality, the reality as I know it, when I can barely imagine what life will be like after high school. You're asking too much. Please tell me you're considerate, Reina. Fine, I won't say no just yet. I'll sleep on it for a few days and get back to you. That's all I ask. I'll be back in 3 days for your answer. Does that seem fair? Reina nodded with the Cabot still on her head. With the agreement made, the Cabot disappeared, and Reina returned home just as the streetlights turned back on. I'm going to change that to flickered. And remove the back. Her mother was in the kitchen and glanced out of it to see her daughter, gave her a bright smile. How was your day, little flower? It was exhausting, Mama. So much to think about, so much to do. Sami's the only light I've got right now. If you hadn't come to Kuzuraha Nishi with me, I'd be alone. I thought you'd made friends since you started your first year. Jessica do something wrong? Her mother asked, sounding a bit worried. No, Mama, she didn't. I've only known her a couple of weeks. Even if Asami thinks she's the third in our group already, we've only really hung out once. I don't know if I can trust her. Her father was walking in at that moment and shook his head after hearing his daughter. Your trust issues are showing again, Reina. You have to give people the benefit of the doubt if you want to make new friends. I don't know. Right? One's Kagura. Reina started to tear up, even just mentioning the name. Your best friend forever turned her back on you. I know it hurts, but you can't let her live in your head rent-free forever. You have to live your life, sweetie, her father said. I'm sorry, Papa. I'm trying, I swear I am. It's just... Raina sighed, wiped her eye free of fresh tears. Dinner will be a little late tonight. Go change out of your uniform and relax a little. I'll call you down when it's ready, her mother said softly, gesturing to her husband to drop the subject for now. Thank you, Mama, Papa. I love you. Raina smiled faintly and headed up to her room. Raina's room was very red. Oppressively so. It's her favorite color aside from a strange secondary connection to light purples. She changed into some comfortable red pajamas and settled in a soft recliner with a book, letting her get lost in the story of an unfortunate magical girl. The question of becoming something she so adored with such a responsibility attached stressing upon her mind. Dinner came and went, and soon she'd find it time to take her nightly shower and go to bed. She had no dreams that night. The day came and she readied for school. She brushed her teeth and tied her hair up in scrunchies. She put on her uniform and adjusted her tie. She grabbed her bag and had a small breakfast. The doorbell rang, and her best and currently only friend was at the door. Asami had a form of albinism, long white hair and a French braid, lavender eyes, and she was allowed black tights and gloves with her uniform, as well as a black parasol to keep the sun off her skin. She smiled joyously at Raina. Oh, thank you, Dr. Divine. Try to have a good day, Raina, her mother offered before the door closed behind her daughter. Asami, chill! Are you always this full of energy? Raina groaned as Asami let her wrist go at the end of the walkway. Sorry, Raina. I'm just being alive and being your friend in the fall weather and the colorful leaves. I can't get enough. I wish your lust for life were more infectious. Raina chuckled a little. I read that wrong. Oh well. Could be if you just let it, sourpuss. It's alright. I'm good the way I am. You totally aren't. Asami, the taller of the two, lightly bopped Raina on the head with a closed fist. They talked, they made their way to the monorail that took them from the suburbs to the city proper. Not insignificant ride, only made faster by the incredibly well-maintained transportation system. Guzuraha Nishi High School wasn't the most prestigious school in the city, nor did it hold any kind of infamy, but it was considered the prettiest and most culturally aware and accepting. Uniforms were kept rather customizable for the most part, so there was a sense of individuality to almost every student, while at the same time, keeping the same order that was expected of a proper student. Hey, you two. I'm not going to read in any voices anymore because I'm not keeping track of them well enough and not being able to differentiate them enough. Blonde girl that kept her hair in a bun waved from the path to the main school building. Hi, Jessica. How's things? Asami said excitedly as they approached her and started walking in step. Pretty good. I ranked up to Emerald last night. What about you two? Same old, same old. Asami awfully only to nudge Raina. Oh, yeah. It goes. A lot on my mind the last few days. I've been told the first year of high school can be like that for some kids. I haven't gotten bit by the humbug yet, though. Jessica, no one uses that word anymore. Could you have an older soul or what? Asami teased. Jessica simply shrugged. Hey, I like the word. Feels fun. Raina was quiet and lost track of what was being said as she walked with him. Their voices became a cacophony of gibberish beside her as they made it to the building and went to the homeroom. The school day was simple enough. Classes, lunch, classes, PE, homeroom, clean the classroom, clubs, then go home. Raina wasn't part of any clubs yet, though she had been encouraged, and they were always open to new members. The sports teams weren't. And Raina was always going home as Asami had joined the swim team, and Jessica was, well, Raina didn't trust her enough to go home with her yet. The walk towards the train was the same as it ever was, except the cabin returned to her shoulder, stepping out of a small red portal. I'm going to remove that. Make it just a random hole in reality. I thought you said I had 3 days. Rena said quietly as she walked among the crowd towards the train. You do, but I wanted you to see something that might help you decide. Turn left here. Rena sighed and did as it's not a he, it's an it. It asked, though she could have easily said no. She was curious what he'd possibly show her. Now turn here, to the right. Down a dark alley. Really? I know it seems shady, but I swear it's fine. I'll protect you. Cabot said. Turned out they were really close to a graveyard as well. Small one in the middle of a funeral procession. Fine. Rena turned down the alley, and there was a pressure in her chest. And her head swirled for a moment, and in front of her there was a pitched battle between a boy in fancy Yoji clothes with a staff and a creature out of some kind of nightmare. Big bulbous bug man wearing a fancy suit of armor and a top hat with forearms, each with a weapon held firm. What the hell? I figured I'd show you what it looks like to be a magical warrior. See what power it offers, how you'd protect and maybe change the world. Rena watched the battle from beginning to end. The boy performing acrobatic flips and leaps beyond the normal human, summoning blades to his call along with lightning bolts, expertly dodging attack after attack from the creature, only to finish with a loud exclamation of Donatem Perfis. Grand green bolt of lightning swirled around a buster sword. He pulled from his cape and it crashed down upon the bugman's head, cleaving him in two, causing the body to burst into a strange, shadowy confetti. Boy transformed back into a casual uniform, dusting himself off, only to pull an hourglass from his... I'm going to change that from an hourglass. A phone from his blazer pocket and absorb the confetti in the air into it. Alright, let's go, Rena. Rena turned around 180 degrees and walked back out of the alley. Same pressure filled her chest and the swirl of dizziness came and went as she finally exited the alleyway. So, Rena, that help? The Cabot asked with casual curiosity. I don't know. It was flashy and it was pretty cool, but I don't know if it's for me. Your powers, of course, would be more you, as would your outfit. Inspired by your true self when I transform. I'm going to change that. You and a bit of me. A bit of me, the Cabot explained. It might help. I still have 2 days, right? You do, dear. No problem. Can you not come back until they're over, please? I promise I'll say no immediately if you do. Rena's ultimatum made the Cabot sigh. As you wish, Rena. I'll see you in 2 days for the answer, and not a moment sooner. With that said, the Cabot returned... whatever realm it came from. I gotta recenter that. We'll read a little bit more. How much have I read so far? What time is it? What's it? It had been 2 days since the first dream of the girl Rena and the strange Cabot. She wondered if she'd had another dream of her tonight, and learn the conclusion of this story. She figured she might write it down and make a story about it all. Today she managed to be early to work in a clean and pressed suit. Even had time to get a boba tea and a couple of macaron from a local cafe to enjoy at her desk. Mr. Leonidas came in a bit late today. He looked stressed and looked to Jasmine. At Jasmine. Cancel all my normal meetings today. I have to speak to the board about some emergency. Double mention of today. Don't need to do that. I'll need you to do some errands around the building and around the neighborhood while I'm out. She took out a pen and wrote down each and every errand he wanted her to do. From being given the notices for 6 fired middle managers and 1 upper, to gathering his dry cleaning and making sure his cat was fed. She had a long day ahead of her. Change scene. That's what this little symbol here means. Raina was alone in the house when she woke up. She got dressed alone and had to make her own breakfast. Even her annoying brother was nowhere to be seen. They'd all hurried out before she'd even woken up. Wasn't a common occurrence, but sometimes it happened. What was strange was Asami didn't show up to drag her out the door. She had to walk through the train alone in silence. The monorail came, and it was more crowded than usual. She didn't even manage to get a seat. People were uncomfortably close together, and she could swear someone was about to be assaulted like this. Nothing happened. I'm paranoid today. I need to calm down, she said to herself with a mild, chastising tone. She walked slowly and calmly down the streets to school. There was an unnatural chill in the air, or at least it felt unnatural to Raina. I'll change... No, that's a good point. That should be Jessica. She was sure something bad was going to happen. Jessica wasn't waiting for her on the path to school either. But there were plenty of other students. In homeroom, neither Asami, nor Jessica. I've confused the names. Can't be 2 Jasmines. That would be confusing. The odds of both of them not showing up was almost 0 as far as she was concerned. Were they together right now, doing something without her? Were they planning something? I have to remove that. I was removing signs of Japanese honorifics. Miss Kimura, are you paying attention? I asked you a question. Oh, sorry, Miss Asahina. My mind is wandering. You're right, Raina. Mine is usually pretty on task. Do you need to see the nurse? Maybe. I'm not feeling too well. She trailed off as things went black and she fell out of her chair. Jasmine returned to the office with Mr. Leonidas' freshly cleaned suit and a tuxedo and several other things and set them down in his office where she usually did. She checked off several things on the list, but still had at least 6 other things to do before she was done. But time for lunch. She picked up some grocery store sushi during the errands and settled in her desk to enjoy the simple rainbow roll and a bottle of lightly sweetened jasmine tea. Felt like an eternity passed as she ate, but really was only 15 minutes. She went out to do the rest of her errands. It was 5 in, and she found herself at a different bank. She was supposed to deliver a manila envelope to the manager. She handed it over and started her way out before there was a gunshot and a scream. Everyone down, this is a bank robbery. She was pretty sure this was a nightmare at this point. No one in the real world actually robbed the bank. No, with modern security, right? But here she was, on the ground, with her hands tied behind her back against the wall. 3 people in masks began to cut open the ATMs and the safe deposit boxes while grabbing all the cash they could, while 2 more watched over the hostages. Supposedly a 6th was in control of security, as one was getting into the vault with the manager's key card. And then the police showed up. When we called them, the robbers were not happy about it. They grabbed a teenager and held him at gunpoint as they stepped to the door. Whatever they said didn't matter. Something clicked in Jasmine's brain, and she pushed herself off the wall, knocked the boy and the robber to the floor. There was a gun shop, and everything stopped as Jasmine realized what had happened. She'd been shot in the back. She tried to be her hero and paid the price. Everything went black, and the last words to come out of her mouth were, "Please, not yet. Cabot was panicking over the body of Raina, pacing and shaking its head. No, 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 this can't be happening. How's the girl's soul get torn apart like this? I need her, it has to be her. But what can I do? She's just not here. Shit, shit, shit. Then, as he panicked, he heard a voice. Please, not yet. Why he heard it, he didn't know, but the soul it came from, it felt like it was her. Wasn't her, but it felt like her. He just had a feeling. It's against the laws, every law I swore to uphold. I can't do it. Or can I? I'm the elder. I make the rules now. This is an emergency power only I hold. There has to be a reason for all this. He could feel the soul calling out, and he reached into a black void with his hand like ears. Is that your wish? Jasmine heard the voice calling out to her. If that's your wish, take my hand. I shall grant it with no strings attached. Your time will not be now, girl drifting to the next life. It's like a reflex. She didn't have hands with which to grab. She willed herself to take the glowing white hand with the silver ring around its wrist, and the endless void faded away. And that's where we'll stop. Just a little 14-page excerpt of what is a 58-page first draft so far. And, yeah. Oh, that's how this starts. Won't ask too much what people think unless they want to say it, but yeah.